All right, everyone. Very good morning. Very good evening. We already passed 5 minutes. We can get started. All right. Right. So welcome to this database administration workshop. So today and tomorrow, that's going to be this 24th and 25th are going to be two demo classes. So it's publicly available. Anyone can join. You can request your friends and colleagues to participate here today and tomorrow, and then ask or clarify your questions or queries, and get to know about what exactly this course is and who all can attend, and then what all topics will be covered. I'm going to brief through all of this and the course timing, course curriculum, and course duration, followed by one or two topics we will touch base on this database. So we will get started with the introduction about me, and then uh, we'll see what all topics we can cover today. So first I'll start with the introduction about me. I am having around 13 to 14 years of IT experience, and this entire 14 years of experience is purely on Oracle domain. So I started my career after my graduation with the iGet Global Solution, followed by work for Oracle India Corporation, and then some other organization. So all these 14 years, I worked on all Oracle products. Started my career as Oracle DBA and senior Oracle DBA and tech lead and infrastructure lead. And currently I'm working for Rubrik India Private Limited, where I'm one of the Oracle SME. And, I'm taking care of entire infrastructure part, including all the databases and Exadata. So in this entire 14 years, I almost uh, worked on most of the Oracle products. So I hope you guys can hear me. Like, if you have any challenges, uh, if you're not able to hear, like, can somebody give thumbs up or yes, no? Can you guys hear me? All
Yes,
right.
we are able to hear you.
All right. Thanks for confirmation. So whomever has the issue, please check your mic or audio, and then reconnect or rejoin back the session. Right. So in this overall 14 years of IT experience, um, I worked on various Oracle products. So Oracle Database, Oracle RAC, Oracle Golden Gate, and Oracle Exadata, Oracle Supercluster, Oracle Exalogic, and Oracle EBS, Oracle OBI, and Oracle PeopleSoft, and Oracle SOA. So I worked on most of the times this core DBA part plus as well as application part. So I worked as a core DBA as well as apps DBA. So these are my core skills and core key strengths where I put down this entire 14 years of effort into Oracle domain. I don't want to go out of this Oracle. So with that, so latest technology from Oracle is Oracle Cloud, OCI. So I'm expert and certified with Oracle Cloud as well. So somebody will ask me, you'll entire 14 years you spent on Oracle, and do you mean like you stick to Oracle, or is there any other feasibility to work on other products and all? Yes, that's a valid question. So sticking to one domain, obviously you are narrowing down. And if you are willing to expand and know other products and things, you are go ahead and learn it. For example, AWS, GCP, and Kubernetes, DevOps, all those things you can go ahead and learn it. So with that, even I am very much handy, worked on many DevOps product like Terraform, Ansible, and Kubernetes. I'm like worked on many of those chips and cookbooks, and with that also worked on AWS, and also I worked on MS SQL, and I worked on PostgreSQL, and also I worked on Informatica and Erwin data modeling. These are like my other skills. I worked on couple of years on those areas as well. But keeping those aside, so Oracle is my primary domain, or Oracle is my primary key skills. So most of my resume contains about Oracle, but along with that, these are my other skills where I expanded my hands and supported those projects as well. Right. So that's about me, and then my total, journey, how it started after the graduation, and then, stick to my Oracle domain. And then with that, whatever knowledge I have it, I have started contributing to my Oracle community, giving it back to my Oracle community by, YouTube channel, writing blogs, and then, having a discussion, open forum discussion, public, Zoom session and webinars and sessions and all those things. Whatever knowledge I got, I gained in these 14 years, started giving it back to my Oracle community. So that's how my journey started, and then it continued to go in future days, right? So that's about me, right? So anyone has any questions while I'm explaining or while I'm talking about, you are feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask any questions, right? And you're allowed to unmute and then ask any questions, or you can use this chat window here. You can post your any questions or queries in the chat window. I'm gonna watching those chat window. I'm gonna clarify all your queries or questions, right? Right. So that's about me. And now, if no questions, I'm gonna talk about introduction about course. Whatever this course we're gonna talk about. So we're going to talk about what all the course content, what all the course curriculum, and what can be included, what can be excluded. So all those things we can probably discuss in next uh, 5 minutes, and then any questions, then we can talk about that, right? I can quickly uh, get this. Let's check it out here. Give me a second. Right. Uh, so if you're looking for this particular course curriculum, you can feel free to go on my blog, and then you can search for the course curriculum. Here is the link for that. Or else you can simply go to malik034blogspot.com and then go to training and database training. And then in that, you can pretty much go through what are the key notes about this course and what all those things. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And for you, like, you can always feel free to go to this particular URL and then check it out. I can directly jump on to the course curriculum, and then we'll take up the questions if you have anything on this. And we'll start with the environmental setup. So that includes your Linux setup, database setup, and what are the tools where I can download the software. All those things we can cover it over here. So before setting up of your environment, you'll not be able to learn, or you'll not be able to understand this database course or the database architecture or database concept, right? So first you should have your own environment so that you can play around that, you can crash it, and you can do whatever activities you want it on the lab. So we'll start with the environmental setup, right? So that includes your Linux, your virtualization, your database installation, software setup, and all those things. And then followed by the networking. So as a DBA, when you're working on any organization or any client, so understanding network is very important. For example, when you talk about your production and DR, networking comes, how the log shipping will happen between prod and DR. So you should know the little bit of networking. And when you talk about client connection to my database, how the client is going to connect to my database. So again, you should know the little bit of networking. If the connection is not going to establish, what is the root cause? So networking is very basic need for a DBS. So we're going to talk about uh, what are the networking concept needed for a DBS. So including your DNS, DHCP, how that IP address allocation happens, how that packet trace happens between the servers. So all those things we'll try to understand. And followed by, we'll start with the installation. There are many ways or various methods to install your database, with a silent method, with a GUI method, with a manual method, with export and import dump or RMAN backups and restores, and Oracle Home tar backup and dump it over there. So many methods to install your Oracle binaries, Oracle software, and install your databases. So all those things will be covered here with the chapter number 3 and 4 and 5. So various methods of GUI method, silent method, manual method, and tar backup and untar, export, import, RMAN backups and restore. All those will explain it over here. And followed by, we'll talk about the architecture. Purely this course is 19C based discussion, but At the meantime, we'll compare with 11G, 12C, 19C, what are changes are happened, what are the new features came up. So we'll here and there we'll keep a comparison so that it will give a clear understanding what all improvement has been done from the Oracle side. So having said that, 11G is become absolute end of support. Oracle will never support any more 11G databases. 12C is going to be end of support very soon, and 19C is the longest release. So they're gonna support that 19C database for the longest release. Next 5 to 7 years, your 19C database is supported by Oracle. So 19C is the one many customer, the stable product and the longest support from Oracle side. So many customer is willing to stay in 19C for next 5 years or 7 years, right? So this course is based on 19C1. Right, and then followed by database administration. So which includes a lot of things, starting with your database management, starting shutting down your database, startup sequences, shutdown sequences, and your backend database storage, redo logs, your alert log file, trace files, control files, archive log files, data files, and your all those things, password file, parameter file, SP file, whatever needed, including your memory and other things. We're going to cover all those administration tasks here. And then your logical components, your database blocks, segment, extent, table spaces, how database is going to understand this logical architecture with the physical architecture. So we're going to give the comparison between the logical and physical, and then how database is going to understand all of them, tables, views, synonyms, all those like logical component for my database. We'll try to understand all of them here. And then followed by chapter number 9, we'll talk about ASM. So what is ASM? Why we need ASM? Without ASM, can I run my database? Or with ASM, can I run my database? What are the features or benefit ASM is going to provide? Right, all those with architecture, whatever the logical architecture, physical architecture, how that ASM architecture is different than the database architecture. We'll understand everything about ASM, how to shut down, start up, all those things, administration of my ASM instance and ASM storage. Again, ASM stands for automatic storage management. So we'll try and understand on that. And along with that, we're going to deal with all the disk groups. We have various disk groups in ASM architecture, right? We have disk group with the external redundancy. We have a disk group with the normal redundancy. We have a disk group with the high redundancy. So how I can create my disk groups, how I can add a disk into my disk group, how I can drop a disk from the disk group. And if the disk group size is full, how I can increase the space of my disk group, and then how I can manage all my data files, redo log files, control files, and all the backend storage and my ASM disk group level. So all those things we'll talk about here. And followed by multi-tenant architecture, very, very important concept and very, very mandatory concept for DBA to understand and learn it. If we don't learn the multi-tenant architecture, we are compromising ourselves, because multi-tenant is going to be future for all the Oracle DBAs. So this multi-tenant architecture came in 12C. Till 11G, it's a normal database. And starting with this 12C, Oracle introduced this multi-tenant architecture that will be your CDB and then PDB. CDB stands for container database, PDB stands for pluggable database. So this multi-tenant architecture came in 12C, and then which is carry forwarded with 18C and 19C and 21C and 23C. So currently 23C beta release has been came out. So CDB and PDB, this multi-tenant CDB and PDB combining together, we can call it as a multi-tenant architecture, right? So this multi-tenant architecture started with 12C and then carry forwarded with your 18C, 19C, 21C, and 23C. And till 19C, whenever you create a database, for example, I create my DevDB. So this database, you can create it as a normal database as well as normal database or multi-tenant database. I can say MD, multi-tenant database, or the normal database. Normal database means no CDBs or no PDBs, brand new or simple database. And if the same database, if you create it as a multi-tenant database with a multi-tenant architecture, that's going to be multi-tenant database with the CDBs and PDBs. So till 19C, you have this feature, these options while creating database. Either it may be a normal database or it may be a multi-tenant database. But starting with the 21C, 23C, there is no more normal database. Everything is going to be multi-tenant database, PDBs and CDBs. So there is no option starting with your 21C. So whatever database you create, Oracle is forcing you to create it as a multi-tenant database, CDB and PDB. So learning and understanding multi-tenant databases is very, very important because that is going to be future focus from Oracle. 21C onwards, it's all about PDBs and CDB. There is no normal database concept at all. So we'll try deal with understanding multi-tenant architecture here in chapter number 10. All the PDBs, CDBs, where are my P file, SP file, and how the memory allocation is going to happen, and how the PDBs are managed within the CDBs, and then how I can shut down, start up, and clone my PDBs. All those things we'll understand here in this multi-tenant architecture. And followed by again Oracle networking, your listeners, TNS, and all those things. How you can connect your database using a Toad, SQL developer, how the client connection works from the client to your servers, and then followed by user account management, right? So very, very important. Users and schemas are what are the privileges, what are the roles, what are the profiles, how I can limit a user to use only this much of storage, this much of RAM, CPUs in my database, and this much of resources in my database. All those things we can talk about here, user management. And one of the common activity we often get it, we have a user one. Can you create a similar user, user two, with the same privileges of what this user one has, right? So those are like common activities. Or can you create a brand new user three and assign these many roles and create table and drop table and access these tables? Can you create a brand new user and then grant these privileges? So those are the things we will understand here. And again, basic things, what are users, what are schemas will be covered for the, the newcomers or the who are new to this database domain. And then followed by backups and recovery, and RMAN backups and recovery versus conventional backup. Your RMAN level 0 backup, level 1 incremental and differential, and your arcalog backup. How you can restore, recover your various component, data file restore, control file restore, redo log file restore, and your database cloning, right? So this all about talks about your backups and recovery. So this is going to be one of the critical and challenging aspect and part of a DBA job. So setting up of a strong backup and solution, setting up of strong backup solution is going to be one of the key factor for a good DBA, one of the key factor for my business continuity plan, So any organization to have a business continuity plan, they should have a strong backup strategy. For example, they have a data center in London, and then my production database are running on London. So in case of entire data center crashes or entire database goes down because of some disaster scenario like earthquake or fire, and my business is going to be down, how quickly I can restore my database, how quickly I can back to business, how quickly I can run my business, that will be defined by your strong backup strategy. How are you going to set the backup strategy for your databases, especially for your production databases? Your weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to run full backup, level 0 backup. Rest other weekdays, I'm going to run incremental backup. On that incremental may be cumulative or differential, and every 4 hours or every 6 hours or every 12 hours, I'm going to take the arcalog backup, so that with the help of those backups, I'm going to restore and recover my database in other data center or on the different data center or on the different region. So once I restore quickly my database, I can up my business and I can up my servers and I can continue to run my business. So that's going to be one of the business continuity plan, how strongly you can set up your backup and recovery solution. That's going to be very, very key aspect for a DBA job. So you should monitor your backups and you should have a successful backup on daily basis. And then what are the old methods of backup? And then why we need to go for a RMAN backup. RMAN stands for Recovery Manager. This is one of the free tool available with Oracle. And we're going to use most of the IT industry, most of the enterprise customer or almost all customer going to use RMAN tool RMN is a tool, recovery manager is a tool, comes with your Oracle product. We're going to use this RMN tool to back up my database. So we're going to back up on weekends, full backup, and weekdays I'm going to take only incremental, change the data, right? And then at the same time, we're going to understand the old backup method, your cold backup, your hot backup, and then logical backup and user managed backup. These are like old conventional backups. What are these, and why RMAN is more powerful than this conventional backup? And then these all are like manual effort. You have to manually do all these things, take a backup and all those things. Here, RMAN is fully automated. We'll compare and we'll understand, and along with that we'll understand the cloning mechanism. So cloning mechanism is going to be one of the common ask. Like, I have my prod database, your development team, we have a development team, we have a testing team, we have a UAT team. So they will ask, okay, can I get my production copy into my development server? So we need to create one development database similar to production as of today. And testing team, they'll ask, can I get my latest production backup, production data into my testing database here? So that's going to be like cloning. Whatever this database, you're going to clone here, replicate here. And same thing goes to UAT. Can I get that production latest copy? Or can you clone this production database to my UAT database? So this is going to be one of the common activity for monthly or quarterly. Your development or testing team or UAT team used to ask, can I get the latest data of my production database into my development server or testing server or UAT server? Can you clone the database into that UAT server? Can you create a brand new database over here and then dump that entire production data into one new server? So that's going to be one of the common activity, that is the cloning. With the help of RMN, we're going to see the various methods of cloning techniques here, right? That's about your RMN cloning will be covered, and followed by patching. Again, the common activity for DBS, right? Why patching is so critical and common activity for DBA? Oracle releases 4 quarterly patches: Jan, April, July, and then October. Oracle will release the security bug fixes and PSU and SPU security patches every quarterly once, and then that will be 4 times in 1 year. 4 times in 1 year. So, and Oracle strongly recommend to apply these patches on your server, on your environment, so that it will be like compliant and no bugs, and it's a vulnerable fix. So most of the organization, the cyber security, cyber threat, and vulnerability is a key factor. They wanted to get rid of all this, cyber attacks, and they want to fix all the vulnerabilities, and they want to be 100% security compliance, right? So with that, whatever these patches Oracle releases 4 times in a year, it is the DBA job to apply all these 4 patches into my database. So if you apply 4 times in 1 year, so DBA jobs are going to be deep. For DBAs, this patching is going to be common activities, right? So some customer will apply all 4 times in 1 year, or some customer will apply only 2 times in a year, either Jan or July, or April or October. Or some customer will apply only once in a year, either Jan or April or July or October, once in a year. So every customer, at least once in a year, they have to apply the patch in order to keep the security compliance, or in order to fix all the bugs. So they have to apply the patch. So we'll understand the various techniques of applying the patches on my grid, on my database, on my Oracle home, on my grid home, and then how I can minimize the downtime, and can I apply these patches online? And then if I want to apply, what are the pre-checks, what are the post-checks? And if the patching is failed, how I can troubleshoot and then fix the issue. And then what are the tools? OPatch is one tool, OPatch Auto is other tool, Data Patch is the other tool. We'll understand all of them here. So patching is going to be one of the most common activities for DBS. So most of the interview, if you go, 1 or 2 questions on patching. So understanding patching is going to be one of the key factor, right? We'll cover in and out for the patchings. And then database upgrade. Again, database upgrade, very rare chances everyone will get in his lifetime, because this is not a common activity. This is not a common job. Like for example, who are customer in 12C or who are customer in 11G, So 11G is end of support. 12C is going to be end of support very soon, but right now it is supported. So both are planning to, both the customer who are in 11G database, who are in 12C database, they're planning to upgrade to 19C. So as I said, 19C database is the longest supported. Next 5 years or next 7 years are going to be like longest support from Oracle side. So only customer who are going to upgrade from 12C to 19C. So that's a time DBA, we get a chance to work on this upgradation, database upgradation. What are the pre-checks, post-checks, how I can upgrade. There are various methods to do the database upgrade, like around 5 to 6 methods you can do your database upgrade. And again, if your customer already upgraded to 19C, they're going to remain stay in 19C for longer period, or almost like 5 to 7 years, because that's a support from Oracle side, right? So this is going to be rare cases. You will get a chance to work on that. But again, few of the common questions, you will get it in the interview, at least like 2 to 3 questions on the, database upgradation. So we're going to see that uh, how we can deal with these upgradations and what are the methods, and what are the common questions they were going to ask. And then followed by your data guard architecture. Again, very, very basic need for all the DBAs. One of the, again, business continuity plan. So your business continuity plan is going to be your data guard. As I said, like, I have my London data center, and then I have my New York data center. I have two data center. This is my prod data center, and this is my DR data center, disaster recovery data center. So my production database we're running over here, and then this is my production database. I need to continue to ship this, all the transactions, whatever happening on my production side, to my DR database, right? So the log shipping are happening. One user connected and do some transactions, right? So these transactions will be replicated on my DR side. Your DR database will be up to date, in sync with your production. So that's your data guard setup. So there's various methods to set up your data guard, synchronous mode, asynchronous mode, and various types of your standby databases, logical snapshot, physical standby, or your uh, one more, like the three types of standby database you can set up over here, and how you can set up those standby database, and then how you can do a log shipping, whether the archive log shipping or redo log shipping, and then what are the different modes of my standby database, and what are the different types of my standby database. So once you set up this standby database, so that's going to be define your business continuity plan. As I said, your entire London data center, production database center is gone because of some disaster scenario, earthquake or fire or any reason your entire data center is gone. So you have already production replica copy over here, and it is already in sync with your production. You can quickly open your DR database and your application servers, which are pointing to production. You can disconnect and then point your application server to point to your DR. So your business is continue to run, right? Your database is a 50 terabyte. You no need to restore that entire 50 terabyte and recreate your brand new database. You already have your DR copy. You can just open your DR copy and you point your application to DR copy. All the end users from that application server try to access your DR database, and you can quickly run your business, right? So that's going to be one of the disaster scenario where we're going to cover how we can build this DR database from the scratch. What are the different types of standby databases, and what are the different modes of my standby database, how I can ship this log shipping. And then in that, there's a common interview question they will ask. My log shipping is not happening, what you will do? My FRA is full, what you will do? And my DR is out of sync. So from last 2 days, no archives are applying on my DR site. And then how I can rebuild my DR, how I can make my DR in sync with my prod. So all those things will be covered in this particular DR, right? And then some of the basics of shell scripting. So whatever we talked so far, all those tasks manually we are doing it, right? So manually as a DBA, we'll do day in and day out all these activities. So can I do those automations? Can I do this, whatever the monitoring activity I did so far, my database growth, my mount point, how much utilization is, my database connections, and all those things we can monitor it, and we can automate it using the shell script. We'll understand some of the basics of shell scripting, how we can write a shell script. Once you understand and start writing small shell script, and then how you can automate this, and then how you can keep all these activities in a shell script and then make it as a automation. So we'll understand complete about shell scripting, and then we can start writing one or two small shell scripts. And then export and import are going to be logical. So whatever RMAN we talked is all about physical files. So we're going to back up my data files, control files, my arclog files. All those are the physical files. We're going to deal with the physical architecture. But when it comes to logical component, right? Logical components are your table, your view, synonym, and your table space and your schemas. When it comes to logical component, how I can take, for example, I have one database, production database. I have my development database. In the production database, I have a table called employee table. And then I want this employee table to be, latest copy of employee table from production to development. How I can export the table and then import it on my development here, the same employee table. So that will be like export and import. So export and import are the two utilities, again comes with your Oracle software. We make use of this export and import utilities, and we'll do your table export and schema export and table space export and entire database export. We'll understand about export and import from the prod to DR on this particular chapter number 20, right? And followed by remaining, we're going to understand 12C and 19C new feature. What are the main features are needed for DBS? So we'll try to understand that, and followed by some of the key factors of performance tuning. Performance tuning, that's a PT, is going to be one of the challenging tasks for all the DBAs, whether you are junior DBA, expert DBA, and already worked on 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in Oracle domain or Oracle field. PT is going to be never ending story, and it's always challenging for irrespective of how many years of experience you have it. Whenever you hit a performance issue, you have to follow your basic rules and start from the scratch analysis, and then get into the root cause, and then provide your recommendations. So major things we'll understand: AWR, ADDM, ASH report, and then how to generate them, how to read them. And once you read all those AWR, ADDM, and performance tuning on your host side and database side, with that, and what are your recommendations? Index rebuilding, gather stats on table, gather stats on schema, and table move or table shrink activity, or the patching activity, or rebuilding your indexes online or offline, or gathering the stats of your tables and schemas. All like one of those common recommendations will be providing. With that, you can do something called explain plan. If there's a change in the explain plan, you can peg that old explain or good explain plan using a SQL profiling. So all of them are like your you know recommendations based upon whatever the performance tuning you will do. Based upon that, you're gonna give your recommendations to your development or the end users. Okay, these are my observations. Because of this performance impact came here. And for this issue, and these are the recommendations, go ahead and then are we good to implement? And then we'll do one by one, and then we'll fix the issue. So that's how we can combine this chapter number 22 and 25 together. We deal with this performance tuning classes, like 3-4 classes. And then followed by this 23 and 24 are like proactive mechanism, and what are the log files you can read, and how I can proactively monitor my databases, and then how I read my VARA errors, and then how I read my those like alert log files and trace files, and whatever the errors I'm getting it in my database side, how I can proactively monitor it, and how I can fix those proactive alerts. And then with those proactive alerts, how I can work with Oracle support, and then get the fix or get the patch done by Oracle team. So those are like proactive monitoring we can discuss over here. That's about your entire course, what we planned. So again, this particular course, whatever I planned here, this is based upon my overall experience as a DBA, worked on various customers, and what are the DBA day-to-day activities I tried capturing over here and then mentioned it over here, so that anyone can complete this course, can be able to work independently as a DBA, because these are the things you get it in field. Any client or any customer you go, these are the things you will work on day-to-day basis, right? And then at the end, we'll talk about resume and cover letter. So I'm going to run through my own resume and cover letter, how we can write your own resume and cover letter, and what are the key points in the resume while writing your resume and cover letter. What are the things you need to mention so that your resume will get shortlisted whenever you apply for the job. The shortlisting is going to be very, very important, because for a single job positions, there's a thousands of applications will be coming, and then your recruiters or HR has to go through all those thousand resumes and then shortlist around 10, 15 candidates, right? So shortlisting your resume is going to be one of the key point. Once you shortlist and once you go for an interview, it's all your technical skills. How you can clear the interview, it's all depend upon your technical skills. But first point is shortlisting into that job position. That's a mandatory thing. So that will be decided by your resume and how good is your resume. So we'll talk about that resume and cover letter, and followed by interview questions and answers. So we'll talk about interview questions and answers. I written a lot of questions and answers. So we'll go run through that, or you can go through those documents and you can easily crack any interview with that document. And then at the end of the course, we'll be conducting the mock interview. So you can register. It's a left to individual who are interested. They can register it. I'm gonna conduct to each and every one to one if you're interested, and I'm going to run through that mock interview. It's kind of a feeling that you are going to attend the real time interview, but at the end of the interview, I'm going to give you some suggestions where you made a mistake and how you could have done better during that interview, right? So those are the suggestions will be conducted here in the mock interview. Right. So that's about the course curriculum. Any questions, guys, so far? Right. You can feel free to unmute and then ask if you have any questions on the course curriculum here. There is a one questions here, data guard broker. So data guard broker will not be covered. If anyone interested on the data guard broker, we can take it as one session at after end of the course. We'll take one session on data guard, understanding data guard broker, how we can set up. Because to set up that itself will not take one entire full day, and then after that you have to data guard is again different commands. You have to use altogether different commands. Again, that's going to be different topic or different course together altogether. So, but again, I'll try to cover one topic if anyone are interested on that.
So interested, sir. It will be thankful if you cover the topic at last.
Yeah, we'll see on that one, right?
Okay, sir.
Right. So everything this course is pure. Again, one questions here. Somebody asked here, like, are all these going to be practical example? So this entire course is going to be practical oriented, and all the each and every topic, whatever I'm going to talk, is going to be real time example with all the real time exposure, like what you're going to get it in the field, in the client environment, how you're going to do it. It's all based upon the real time experience, and all will be having each and every section will be having a demo. So everything will be, this course will be based upon demo only. So everything will be like live lab example, and we're going to explain it. So nothing theoretical here. All right. Any more questions, guys?
I'm like, do we discuss about volume as well here?
Again, that's out of course. Again, we'll take it as the end of the course, like, OEM. Again, there's one more question here. Wallet, they asked. Wallet, OEM, and your data vault, and your data guard broker, and your golden gate. So these all are like, all together the different course. But some of the basics, if you need it, I can cover at the end of the course. But this is for now, it's exclusively out of this topic, out of this course. But we can be covered at the end of the course with, if anyone interested, or majority of who are interested, certain topics we can take it. Otherwise, these are like out of the scope.
Hi, Malik.
Yep.
Malik, I see in, so can you scroll up to the top? Yeah.
Please.
I see some VirtualBox setup, right? But in VirtualBox installation and those things are in real time. No, we'll be having a Unix setup or Linux setup already in place. But this VirtualBox installation, right? So this I think this might take 1 or 2 sessions, right? So whether this can be ordered, and can we add any other sessions?
Anytime, like, this again, as I said, right, this course is not limited to whatever the topics I mentioned over here. So anyone interested in any extra topics can be included, and that will be after end of the course, not in the course. But again, that is left to who all are interested and what topics are interested, majority of the vote, we can take it out. For example, your TDE, your wallet, your Golden Gate, your OEM, your data guard broker. So we cannot cover everything. But out of these topics, who all are interested in majority of the votes, we can take one or two. All right. With that, any more questions, guys? Right. So
RDBMS cover
sir.
apart from this, not in this session. I mean, in any other sessions.
we with this course, I have a lot of pre-recordings on the your SQLs, like basic SQLs and basics, some of the basics videos for the dummies already available on my Google Drive. You are going to get it access on that, so you can go through them by your own. There are a lot of videos in our Google Drive. You can just go
You
through
mean
that.
other RDBMS, right? Say for example, MySQL or MongoDB.
No, we don't have that. We don't cover here.
I mean, in any other session.
Mm-hmm.
In future, in any other sessions, you are going to cover MySQL.
That again, yeah, not at the moment. No plans as of now.
Sir, are we going to discuss grid infrastructure over here, installation of grid?
It's not a grid ASM installation, that will be standalone. Purely this course is for standalone. There is nothing called
Standalone.
RAC.
Okay.
In the RAC, we're going to install ASM for standalone, and then database for standalone. Everything will be like standalone, one node only, no RAC here.
Malik, what about migration?
Migration is not covered. Migration we're going to discuss, but no live demo or no classes, because migration is kind of your Linux. You should have your Windows, you should have Linux, you should have your AX, you should have Linux, and you should have your HP UX. So migration is going to be different together. So we can discuss the theoretical part, but no live demo, because the setup itself is going to take 2 to 3 days, because you have to do a setup of your Linux or Windows or AX or HP Unix. So those are like not easy tasks. So, but theoretical part or the steps can be explained. All right. So any more questions on the course curriculum before we go ahead with further topics? Right. Give me a second here.
Malik, any basics about the OCI?
OCI again out of the topic. That will not be covered here. Right. And coming to the course duration and course timing, 24 and 25, today and tomorrow, 2 demo classes. And now we talked about course curriculum and the about introduction about me. I'm going to touch base on 1 or 2 topics about the database core concept. And tomorrow we'll talk about few more things on my grid and my networking concept and other things. And followed by Monday, 28th is the one, we're going to start the actual course. So this course is going to be weekday course, Monday to Friday. And timings are going to be 9 AM IST to 11 AM IST. That is pretty much in EST, it's going to be like 11 PM EST to 1 AM EST. So that's the EST timing, but in IST, it will be 9 AM to 11 AM. And it will be like approximately around 45 days. So based upon how the course, how everyone can grasp it. So based upon that, maximum duration is going to be 45 days, but it may go here and there 1 or 2 days. Well, I'm flexible. I'm okay with that. Not an issue. So this is going to be like 45 days is a maximum limit for this course. And having said that, 2 hours in a day, Monday to Friday, 9 AM to 11 AM, and 2 hours each of these weekdays. So actual course is going to start on 28th. And then the course is fees going to be 10K, the Indian rupees, and approximately around 125 US dollars. That's the course fees. So you can make course payment by one single payment, or you can go with the 2 times installation. You can feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number for further payment details and all, and we can discuss on that, right? So that's about the course fees and the course duration, and then the course timing. Any questions on that?
No.
Right. Yeah, please go ahead.
Malik, I have one question.
Yep.
The course is timing is weekly and it's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Is the IST. But
Right.
anything possible to is evening course or weekend course is evening?
No, this is the only timing I'm conducting. So there's no alternative timing or alternative date. So this is the only timing.
Okay, okay.
So do we get the recordings of these classes? If at all, if we miss any class, we can verify,
Right.
go through with the recording.
Right. That's a good question, right? So everyday sessions will be recorded and then uploaded on the Google Drive on the same day. So you can watch it, or you can even download it to your local laptop and you can keep it. These are like lifetime accessible recordings. For example, if I can quickly share my Google Drive, whomever register for this course by making payment, they will get access on the Google Drive. For example, database course material. So you're going to get all the course materials, all the PPTs, all the workbook, all the lab exercise, all the ready VMs, all the ready labs, and along with that, all the advanced guides, your workbooks and all those things. Everything you can get it out. You can use it. This Google Drive access will be for lifetime access. You can use it in the Google Drive, or even you can just download it locally on your laptop. There's no restriction on that. And then everyday recordings, if you go here, everyday recordings will be like on the day wise, day 1, day 2, with whatever I'm gonna explain, the recordings will be uploaded. Along with that, whatever the command I'm going to fire in my lab, whatever the lab exercise I'm going to do it on the same day, the commands, whatever I fire it, everything will be like uploaded along with the video. So if you miss, you can watch the recordings, right? You can just watch the recordings, and then at the same time, you can follow that command what I executed, and you can practice it in your lab. That's how you can refer if you miss any class or anything, or if
That's
you
great,
not
sir.
able to catch up, you can do it. And again, there is no restriction at all. You can download these videos into your local laptop. Just go ahead and download it locally on your laptop. There's no restriction at all. And then at the same time, you will be getting access on the previous batch recording. So for example, you already experienced DBA, and then you don't want to every day spend 1 hour, 2 hour. You want to go in a past phase, and you want to learn within 1 week. So you'll be getting access on the previous batch recordings. So these are like same duplicate recordings, right? So you can go by your own, and you can watch all the sessions by your own. And any questions or queries, so each batch has its own dedicated WhatsApp group. Whoever register for this course, I'm going to prepare, I'm going to add them everyone into WhatsApp group. And you can start asking questions in the WhatsApp group. Any questions, any queries, you can post it in our group. Not necessarily it should be on our database course. If you are already working for any client and you are stuck in that any particular task, you can post it in our WhatsApp group. And then if anyone already has the idea on that, they will comment it out that. If not, I'm gonna reply back to you, and then I can get that blocker out, and they will get going with that. So that's a dedicated WhatsApp group. It will be available for lifetime. You can ask anytime any questions over there, and then I'll be commenting back on that. And these are the lifetime accessible course materials available on the Google Drive. You can watch it over here, or you can even download it on your local laptop. No restriction at all on that. Along with that, you're going to get the previous batch recordings as well. And with that, there are some advanced recordings, live seminars, or some of the advanced recordings which are out of these topics. Everything will be available in the Google Drive here. You will get access on those recordings as well. There are some of the recordings for basic SQLs, some of the recordings for basics of this database course for the dummies who are very new to this database course. Only the brand new recordings are available. Like, there are no questions, no queries. It's a plain explanation for the dummies. So you can get access on all those recordings, whatever available in the Google Drive. So it is left to you whether you can watch it or you can download it and you can watch in your laptop. There's no restriction at all on that. Right.
So how to get access to the Google Drive?
Again, after that course registration, I'm going to grant access to everyone who are part of the course, right? And then
Okay. Mhm.
we have this ready labs here. This ready VMs, we have Oracle Lab 1, Lab 2, Lab 3. These are like VMs. You just need to download and configure in your laptop. And then we have Oracle Lab 2 with ASM already installed on that, with the database already installed on that. And we have Lab 1 with the database installed on that. So when we're talking about ASM, you just need to download this lab and configure in your laptop. Within 1 or 2 minutes, your lab is ready. You can start with your practical exercise. And if you download this Oracle Lab 1 with the database, this is the Linux Oracle Lab 1, database is ready. Within 1 minute, your lab will be ready. You can start practicing your whatever the lab exercise. And if you want to practice your installation, you can download this Oracle Lab 1. This is just a Linux server. And you can start with installing your database over here. And you can download this Oracle Lab 2, and where you can start installing your ASM and database by your own, right? So all the labs, ready labs are all available. You just need to download, and this is the details about that lab. So Oracle Lab 1 is just a empty VM without database. Empty VM without database. Empty VM without database. So download these labs. You can start installing your own database. You can start creating your own database, or you can start creating your own ASM based upon when I talk about this chapter number 9 here. ASM installation. We'll start with the ASM installation and ASM administration. And in that case, you can download this Oracle Lab 2 and then start installing your ASM. Or if you don't want to practice that installation, you can directly download this Oracle Lab 2 with ASM. So you can directly jump onto the practical exercise. When I talk about this Oracle Lab 1, you can download this Oracle Lab 1 and start installation of your database. Or you can download this Oracle Lab 1 with the database ready lab. You can start practicing the lab exercise. So all those will be like readily available. You can make use of them, right?
Like, how many gigabytes should you have in your machine? For
How many
gigabyte do you recommend to have in your machine?
I'm going to come to that point, right?
Okay.
So with this, one of the prerequisites is 8 GB RAM is must on your laptop with 100 GB SSD. So if you have 8 GB RAM plus 100 GB SSD, that is well and good for the database course. That's the
Ram,
minimum I'm talking about.
Hi, Mali, Ram here. See, I have the laptop 32 GB RAM, which I purchased newly, and I have 512 GB, not SSD, M.2 advanced.
Okay, good. That's good.
So,
What I'm talking about is a minimum 8 GB RAM is needed. And if you have anything above 8 GB, that's a very brilliant. You work as if you're working on the client server.
No, I'm asking that. So I have to install this. I have
But
already installed.
No, that we're going to talk about that. Like, how we can install, setup and all those. We're going to talk about during the
I'm not
actual
asking
course.
how to install now. I'm asking the requirements, pre-requirements. I need to get it out. So pre-requirements like 8 GB minimum, 100 GB SSD minimum, right?
Right.
So then Linux, which version we need to have?
Linux, we're going to install 7.9. That's the latest one with 7. We have 8.4 and 8.5 and 9.1. These are like latest Linux, but we're going to cover on Linux 7.9.
Is it Oracle Linux or like how Linux main
OEL.
house?
It's Oracle Linux. Right. So the minimum prerequisites is this one. So forget about this. Like, we're not going to talk about this. We're going to talk about during the actual course. But for you to attend this course, you should have minimum 8 GB RAM. If you have more than 8 GB, that's brilliant, well and good. If not, at least 8 GB RAM should be available and 100 GB should be SSD. With the minimum 8 GB SSD is much needed. Some people will not be having SSD, they will be having HDD. That's fine, but you will be see some slowness while accessing your VMs. But minimum requirement is going to be 8 GB RAM and 100 GB SSD. And if you have anything above this, that's well and good. That's the only minimum requirement what you needed for this course. Right. All right.
The regarding payment and all, so can we pay in Google Pay or Phone Pay like that? How it is?
Yeah, we can talk on that. You can ping me on my WhatsApp number. So my WhatsApp number is +919880616848. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to share that payment link. I don't want to share it publicly. I'm going to talk about how we can make payment, what are the payment method, Google Pay, Phone Pay, or MoneyGram or Western Union or Wise is other way of transferring the money. So that all
Okay,
we're
so
going to
is
talk
the
personally.
installments, how many installments we can pay the 10K? Like 3K, 3K, like that we can pay, or 5K?
No, again, that is subjected to discussion. I don't entertain to go with the installment for everyone, but it's based upon one-to-one discussion. That's why, for any payment related queries, questions, it's one-to-one. You can ping me or you can talk
Malik,
to me.
do you take payment with RAC?
No, you have to go with the Western Union or the MoneyGram or the Wise transfer if it's international.
Not okay.
Right. So you can ping me on my number or you can call me on my WhatsApp number. We can talk on the payment methods, right? How we can do it and what are the methods you can do on that. Right. Any more questions on the course?
Can we attend this course in multiple times, sir? Actually,
Yeah,
this
I'm going to
time
talk about that. Right. One important factors, once you made this registration and once you attend this course, and what happens? Like, for example, you registered now, made a payment and you attended like a couple of classes. And due to some reasons, right, due to your health issue or due to some emergency, you have to go out of town and you'll not be able to catch up and you missed around 1 week class. And if later you'll not be able to catch up the things. Then no worries, like, you no need to worry at all. Like you can skip this. And then when I'm starting the new batch, you can just ping me because anyway, we have WhatsApp group. I'll be posting when I'm going to start the new batch, or in my blog, I'll be keep on posting when is the upcoming DBA batch. You can just go ahead and click over there. And when will be the next upcoming batches, everything you can get it over there. So by looking at that, you can always feel free to ping me. I can add you to the new batch, new WhatsApp group, so that you no need to pay any extra money. Once you want to enroll one more time, you want to attend one more time, or you want to brush up one more time, you no need to pay any extra money on that. It's kind of a one-time registration. You can attend multiple times, right? So that's one of the flexibility, like, that's what I'm gonna offering, like no need to pay any extra amount on that. Right. Any more questions on the course topics?
Yes.
Or the timings or the payment?
Malik?
Yeah.
My name is Sheikh. I have seen your demo that what all the topics you are going to cover for this 19C multi-tenant and everything. So you are given this database contents and everything. Can you scroll down, please? Yeah. A little bit top from 1 to 5 or 1 to that's it. See, you are given in a segregated way. Okay, it's fine. So you are taking 2 days in weekdays from Monday to Friday. So what will be the time period? So this chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter these I'll be going to complete in this week, or so that we can plan accordingly. So we don't want to see, for example, out of the people.
I'll tell you, it's not gonna how it works.
Okay.
For example, I'm gonna cover today these topics.
Yeah.
And then what happens? There are a lot of questions or queries from the students.
Yes.
And I will not be able to cover this entire thing in one day. So this chapter may spill down to tomorrow. So what I'm doing, we have a dedicated WhatsApp group for each batch. I'll be posting every day night. So tomorrow I'm going to cover this. And next day I'm going to cover this. I'll be posting it in our WhatsApp group. Okay, tomorrow these are the topics I'm going to cover. Because whatever we plan, it's not going to work like that. I can give you, okay, today I'm going to cover this, tomorrow I'm going to cover this one, but it's not work on that, whatever the planned. We may go here and there 1 or 2 days. So with that, what I'll do, like in our dedicated WhatsApp group, I'll just post it. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to cover ASM. Tomorrow I'm going to cover user creation and user management. So based upon that, whether left to you, whether you can attend tomorrow's class or not.
Okay, because I thought we don't want to waste any time. The way you told.
No,
one
I
or two-
understand that. I
Yes,
understand that, but
because from your side, whatever you say is exactly correct. But from our side, people, lot of people are connected to your Zoom link, because
Yeah.
each and everybody having a different timelines, different
Right,
thoughts
right.
and all. From my side, I am planning to complete. See, if you're going to see from 1 to 5 chapters in this 1 week, 1 week. So, if any queries related to that issues, like see for VM installation or XYZ, any other student apart from me is asking, means so they can segregate and they can ask in that means one day, that means in the weekday, that Friday will be the last day of the week class, so that they can shoot out the questions for that week, so that we can complete in a framework, so that the time duration, whatever we are spending 2 hours per session per day, that means
Yeah, and
10 hours.
I know I got it, but yeah, that's I cannot give you exact time when I'm going to cover these topics and all, but these are the order, and
Okay.
only way to judge is like every day I'm going to posting that what topics I'm going to cover for today.
Okay, thanks.
Right?
Thanks
That's how
for
it
your
works.
time. Thank you. Thank you.
All
My
right.
name is Mark. My name is Mark. Yes,
Sorry for that. Yeah, good. Like anyone has any questions before we go
Yeah.
further?
Yes, my name is Mark. What
Yeah, Mark.
the previous classmate say is very important. My question is about that. This database content. Are we going to cover everything in this slide?
Are you gonna cover
everything chapter 1 to
Yeah.
maybe 8?
Yeah, chapter 1 to whatever mentioned here, these all will be covered in this course.
Yeah, because I joined the class because I see this content is very good at me. That's why I hope
Yeah,
that
no,
we're going to cover
these are covered
everything.
everything. No, these are the topics are going to be covered in this course. It will be like 40,
Okay.
45 days. Will be covered all these topics, whatever mentioned over here.
Okay, the way that you elaborate it, right? That's the way you're
Right.
going to cover it, because the way you elaborate is very important. I hope that we're going to cover everything the way you
Right.
put it.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
All right.
Malik, one final question. So you mentioned like, so it will be a one-time settlement, and this this particular course has only standalone databases, right?
Right.
Say for example, if I wanted to learn RAC or Golden Gate or anything else, and you have an upcoming session for those things, for RAC and Golden Gate. So can we join that
No.
those sessions, or do
No.
we need to pay extra for that sessions also?
That's a separate course. You cannot join the RAC course with this payment. So this is limited to only this database course. You can attend any future database course, but not the other courses.
Okay, but the documents and presentations, whatever you have it in Google Drive, so those can be accessed, right?
Yeah, we cannot get access on the other courses. You can get access on the database courses alone.
Only for the standalone, correct?
Right.
Malik, you're gonna do Golden Gate?
It's a future plan, but not at the moment.
How soon? You thinking of?
Again, yeah, no plan. Right now it's not planned. That's only answer. No plan as of now.
Malik, do you have any plan for coming future? That means after completing this, do you have any sessions for RAC?
We have this one, like next track batch. If you go on this one, right? If you go on this link here,
Yeah.
This is a batch we're going to start today, and the next batch for RAC is going to be on 7th Jan. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So any more questions, guys, before I proceed with one or two topics? I'm going to touch base on this database architecture part for today, and tomorrow we can talk about some of the networking concept. I hope that this is clear, like, course curriculum or the course payment or the course duration, course timing, and how we can get the access on the Google Drive. And there's a dedicated WhatsApp group. We'll be like sharing all the details, all the access on the Google Drive. And then I'm going to cover, once we start the actual class on Monday, we're going to talk about, these are the database course materials. One, you're going to access, and what are the folders we're going to access. And then I'm going to talk about this, how you can access this, because you'll be having a confusion, like which folder to access, what to access, and then where are my recordings, all those things I'm going to talk on the regular classes. That will be on Monday. Right.
Because the question is related to that. So how soon we're gonna get access to the Google Drive on Monday?
By weekend, Saturday or Sunday, who are registered, everyone will get it by Saturday or Sunday.
Because okay because for people who already pay, right?
Yeah. All right. Let's come back here now. If there are no more questions on the.
Well, hi Malay. So when we are going to start registration and when we are going to start officially this meet?
No, I think already 15 people, they registered, they made a payment and they already got access, and they're all watching the previous batch recording from last 1 week. So it's all depend upon, you can ping me on my WhatsApp. Look, the moment you make a payment and confirm me back, and then you will get access, and then you will start watching the previous batch recordings, and you will be part of the WhatsApp group, and you can post or ask any questions in the group.
Payment is like like installment payment.
Yeah, you can. That's what you ping me on that payment part, how you can make it, whether the installment or full payment, on my WhatsApp number. I already said my WhatsApp number. That like one-to-one, we'll talk personally, and then we'll settle down that.
Okay.
Okay. So that question concerns me too. I already my name is Mark. You remember me? So I don't know if you already add me to the Google Drive, because I don't have any access of.
I hope I already added you. Probably if not, then I'll recheck it out and I'll confirm you back in WhatsApp. Yeah.
Okay, I'll ping you. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll check and reconfirm you.
And how to connect? So I will connect them.
Yeah, makes sense. All right.
Okay.
Right, guys. So any more questions?
Like if suppose today's schedule one is not yet completed in the frame time, are you going to extend the session by half an hour or 1 hour?
No.
On the same day?
2 hours is the maximum. We'll never extend more than 2 hours, but it'll be covered tomorrow.
Okay.
Right. All right, guys. I'll take it as a no more questions. If anyone has, feel free to ping, or you can ask, unmute yourself and ask any questions. Right. We talked about duration and payment. You can always ping me on my WhatsApp for more details, or talk to me on my WhatsApp number or cell number. This is my number. We'll talk more on that. Any questions, further questions or queries you want to talk to one-to-one.
So duration of this course is how many days it will complete entire course for single node?
It's a 40 or 45 days, approximately around 90 hours.
Okay.
Right. If everything is clear about course content, course duration, course payment, or course timings, and again, I'll talk about that, how you can get access on the Google Drive, and it's a dedicated WhatsApp group for each batch. You can feel free to ask any questions, any queries. Before, if you don't ask any questions, you'll never learn. That's the motto, I believe. Always open your mouth and ask the question, whether it's a silly questions, complex, or whatever it is. You just need to ask the questions, then only we will learn it. That's how we learn, and we help others. And if I don't know the answer, I'll definitely say I don't remember at the moment. I'll definitely come back to you, right? So everyone cannot remember anything or like everything. So always you should ask questions, queries, always practice. That's how we need to expertise and build the confidence on this domain, in this DBA field. Always ask questions, always practice. These are the two key points I always remember. I always ask all my students to always ask questions and always practice. Right.
Hi, hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Do we get any certificate after completion of this course?
No certifications and no payment receipt. It's all like online course. No, I don't provide any certificate or I don't provide any payment receipt or payment details.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Will you guide us at least for the certification examination?
Oh, that will be end of the course. After end of the course, everything will be covered here, right? Like, I did not mention over here, I'll be covering along with this resume writing, along with this interview questions, along with the mock interview, what are the certification you can do it? Either OCA or OCP or 19C admin 1 or admin 2. What are those exams? Those will be like covered here in this end of the course. What certificate you can provide, what certificate, how the Oracle examination will work, where you can register for the examination, what's a course, that examination fees, all will be like explained end of the course.
Thank you.
Right. Any more questions, guys? Before this all clear means I'm going to touch base on architecture and your standalone. I'm going to cover two more topics: standalone database versus RAC database, and one more concept. I'm going to talk about these three: database architecture, and then standalone versus RAC, and some of the networking. So these are like schedule. I'll just cover touch base on that. How as a DBA we can start our career before I get started with this technical discussion or the theoretical part for this course. Any more questions on this?
Yes, I have one doubt, Malik.
Yeah.
Here you mentioned like you will guide us about Linux,
Right.
but if we want to know about AIX and other OS, so will you gonna cover that?
No, AIX, it's purely this course is based upon Linux. So if your database or client is on AIX or on Windows, or it may be HP, AUX, or any other flavor, like
Yes.
Linux is the one will be covered in this particular course. And if anything related to this Linux, sorry, your AIX or Windows or HPX, other than this Linux, any environment, almost I can say your commands or your installation or setup or architecture remains same around 90%. 10% some commands will not work. All those things you have to grab, or if you're stuck on that, always use our WhatsApp group. You can post that where you stuck, what you won't understand in those environments, and I can guide you on that. But in this course, nothing will be covered, anything related to AX or Windows or HPUX. Right? Purely this course will be based upon Linux.
Okay, thanks.
All right, let's come back here. I'm gonna talk about. I believe there are no more questions on the course curriculum, course content, or duration, or payment, or like how you can make a payment. Everything you can ping on my WhatsApp. We'll talk on further. But if no more questions now, I can quickly touch base on one or two topics.
Yeah, I have a small question. Please, can you come back to the slides where you put database architecture?
Everything will be here. Like again, once we start the actual class, you're going to see this database course material, and inside that you have database course materials. Inside that you have database course PPT. So this is the only PPT I am going to refer through this entire course. So this is the only PPT I'm going to refer it for this entire course. So you can just open this PPT and you'll get everything over there.
Because my concern was about you want to talk about database architecture and difference between standalone database and RAC. That is not follow the database content. It's just generality, or is part of the.
It's a part of the course. For example, again, at now, if I talk, you will not be able to understand. Like if I can go further on this slide, you can see here, right? Database installation types. So you can go with a standalone installation, single installation, ASM installation, and Oracle RAC installation. So this is like totally out of the scope. We'll not be covering this RAC, But when you come about standalone installation, we have a three types: standalone, single instance, or Oracle restart. You're going to install it on OS file system, you're going to install it on NFS, or you're going to install it on ASM. So these all will be like covered during the course, right? That will be like part of your regular course, not at the moment. Like, everything will be covered. That's the only simple thing I can answer right now.
Okay, okay.
Right. With that, I can quickly touch base on architecture part. In any industry, if anyone talks about your application side, we basically deal with the three-tier architecture. Right? We talk about three-tier architecture. What exactly the three-tier architecture? So probably I might have that slide. If I have it, I can show it over here. Okay. One or two slide I wanted to show it for today, and then tomorrow we'll talk about networking. I'll just get the three-tier architecture if I can get it here. Okay, here. Good. So any industry, any application, for example, take any banking sector. So if I talk about India, I can say ICICI Bank. I can say HDFC or SBI. These are like banking sector. Or you can talk about any insurance company or anything like anywhere in the world, not only in India. Any companies in any region, they have their own banking sector, their insurance sector, finance sector. Any of these application, they are gonna run under three-tier architecture. What exactly that three-tier architecture is? The three layers: presentation layer, and business logic layer, and the database management layer. So this presentation layer, we can call it as the front end or presentation layer. This is where all the end users or the clients or the business users, everyone are going to access the application. For example, I said these are the banking sector in India. In USA also, there may be any banking sector or any insurance sector. So those are going to access their databases. For example, if I can go to one ICICI site here, ICICI net banking login. So if I can go to the net banking login, so that is going to be your end layer. And if I can go to HDFC net banking login, so that will be like the front end layer, right? So this is your presentation of the front end layer. So any end user can connect through different devices. It may be web. What I showed here, like this, they may be connecting with the web URL, right? They may be connecting with the web URL, or they may be connecting with any other client. Like they may be connecting with some client. They may connect with the web, or I may open that ICHC login or HDFC login in my mobile. I may connect with the client application, any of the mobile app or mobile URL. They can connect through any devices. That's your presentation layer or the front end or the business user layer. They all go to application server, or they can connect from anywhere in the world. India, US, UK, London, wherever, like anywhere in the world, they can access my application. They all go to my application server. This application server maybe resides on your any data center, London, UK, US, or Washington, DC, or India, or wherever. Like these are your application layer, or the business logic layer, or the middleware. These are the application, all the end user, whatever, like whoever logs in. Because for example, if I log into my HDFC login here or ICICI login here, and I'm gonna go from that front end, I'll go to that application server. That may be your web server, Apache, Tomcat, or your middleware or business logic. All it will go to application server. From the application server, it will go to my backend databases. So these are your backend server, and this database is going to be MySQL or Oracle or your MS SQL or it or Postgres or any database. There are many databases in the world, in the market, anything. That is your backend layer. So that's called data management layer or the backend layer or the data layer. So this is where our DBA job comes into picture. We most of the times deal with this backend layer, the data management layer or the data layer or the database server. This is where we DBA work on this one. We install databases over here. We run our database servers here, and all the applications are end users. They're going to connect to my database, right? We work on this particular backend layer where all my databases are up and running over here, and any end users connect to my database via application server through web URL or the mobile device or any application, any sort of presentation layer. And they may be client software or any software or the web URL or the mobile devices or mobile apps. From there, they will connect to application. From the application, they're going to connect to my database. So this database is running under one Linux server or a Windows server or AX server. We are going to manage that database. So this is our DBA job here. We're not going to work on anything on the application side. We never work on the presentation side. We work on this backend layer, right? With that, I can probably open one more slide. I'll just give a comparison. I think, do I have it here itself? Let's see. Okay, here, good one. I have it here. Right, so I talked about this 3-tier architecture. So the end user can connect using that web URL, or he can connect with a mobile, or he can connect with any desktop, or he can connect with any client application. Any mode that is called front end or the client or web or mobile or the presentation layer. You can call it any word. All are point to my presentation layer here. The client can connect using URL or mobile or desktop. All these connections can go to one application or multiple application layer, right? They will all go to application servers here. So this application layer, you can call it as a middle tier or the middleware or app server or the web server or Apache Tomcat. You can call it anywhere, anything, any of these words. All are your application servers. From application servers, all the connections will go to my database server. This is my Linux or AX or Windows. Your database can run anywhere.
Excuse me?
Yeah, please.
So what is this meeting about again? Sorry, I just came in a little late.
What is this meaning about?
Yeah, I just came in a little late.
Okay, now we're talking about just a 3-tier architecture.
Oh,
where
okay. So
it's just
is
one of
this-
the brief intro I'm
Is
giving
this
it.
is this the how to join the KKK?
Yeah, how to connect to your database, how that end users they can connect to my database.
Wait, so this is a racist Zoom, right?
Yep. All right, yeah, probably you can revisit this video, you'll understand. We just covered some of the basics, so you missed that one.
All right,
So that's
all
why
right,
you're having
thanks.
confusion. Yeah. Right, so all these connections, end user connections via application server will go to.
Wait, how racist is this Zoom?
This is via Zoom. Are you talking
Yeah,
to
how
me?
racist? Like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I did not get your question. Probably you joined little late. You can revisit this video. I'm going to share after this course, after this today's class, and then you will understand.
Oh,
All
all
right.
right. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting now.
Yeah. Thank you. Right. So all these end users, whoever connect from the all over the world, will come to my database, and your database may be running under Linux, AX, or Windows. That user may be reading some data.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Is it okay if I go use the bathroom real fast?
No, again, you can feel free to like, if you have any questions, ask. Otherwise, like, no need to ask anything.
Okay. Can I go take a shower real fast?
Sorry for that, guys.
Malik, you need to block those people. They are being ridiculous.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Yeah, it happens. Okay. Yeah, sorry for that. Okay. Yeah, all these end users are going to connect to my database. My DBA job is to manage the database and manage the server on this Linux server, AX server, or Windows server where my database is running. I'm going to manage this. There's a Linux admin who is going to manage the server, but as a DBA, I need to make sure that this server is running fine. This server has a minimum load so that my database can run without any issue here. As a DBA, I'm going to deal with this backend storage. This middleware or the application layer doesn't matter. This front end layer doesn't matter for me, right? This is my standalone where I have one Linux server.
Wait, excuse me. Excuse me. I'm black. Does that matter?
Give me a second, guys.
Does it matter that I'm black?
Guys, you need to stop being ridiculous.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, I removed that. Sorry for that. Okay. What we're doing, this is for standalone. Like, I'll be having a single Linux server and my database is running on that. This is a standalone concept, means a single node. Your hundreds or thousands of application users are connecting to my database, but they all depending upon my one Linux server. If this Linux server goes down, my database, which is running on that server, is not accessible. It's a complete downtime. Whereas in case of RAC, same thing. Your front end is same. Your application servers are same. And the same database is accessible from your Linux server 1, Linux server 2, Linux server 3. You have multiple Linux server where this particular database instance 1, instance 2, instance 3 is running. It's a HA, high availability. Any of these client or end users can connect to my application server. From that application server, they can connect to Linux server 1, Linux server 2, or Linux server 3. From that, they're going to access the same database. If one Linux server goes down, you have other 2 servers which can still the end users can access my database. This is called high availability. When you have a RAC, Oracle RAC, you can get this high availability concept, right? So your database is just a storage. Your data file, your actual end user data is going to store it. That is your backend storage. Your database is nothing but it's a storage which is going to reside. Where that data is going to reside? That data is going to reside on one Linux server that is single instance, where your database, for this particular database, the instance is going to run on that one single Linux server. It's a one single instance, one single database, one-to-one mapping. It's a standalone. Whereas your data is attached to 3 server here. This is your database. That's your actual data is attached to 3 servers. And any end user want to access this data, he can connect to server 1, server 2, server 3, and he can able to access the same data because data is shared or attached to multiple servers. That's your Oracle RAC, real application cluster. With the RAC, you're able to achieve this HA, Oracle high availability, concept. Right, any questions on this? How this standalone and the RAC works? And in simple words, standalone is a single node, RAC is a multiple nodes, and your data is just stored on your storage. That's your database. In order to access that database, you need database server. These are your servers. That is a Linux server. These servers are nothing but we're going to run instances. My database instances. I'm going to run my database instances on this server. Via that instance, I can access this data. And this Linux server 1, Linux server 2, Linux server 2, I can run my database instances here. These 3 instances can access my data. That's the instance. Instance is going to run on your Linux server. That's your Oracle database instance, which is running on your Linux server. That instance will help me or help my end user to access the data which is stored under your storage. Right? That's where, instance is very, very mandatory to access my data which is stored under my storage. If I have multiple instances running under multiple servers, that's called RAC. If I have a single instance running under one Linux server, that's called standalone. That's a simple understanding between standalone versus RAC. Right. Any questions on that? Right. We'll talk on that one more concept. If no questions on that. Database.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, you said an instance, a database instance will run on top of the server, right? Standalone, you run on top of the server. But what is an instance? An instance is also a server, right?
Instance is not a server. Instance is a, I'm going to talk about that. What is instance? You can say that's a process on your Linux server.
Process.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just talk as of now. We'll talk about this is a Linux server. Instance is a process running on that server. That's it.
So your database is a storage running on a server.
Running on storage, any storage. It may be your SAN, NAS, or ASM. Database is your storage. The files, physical files residing under your storage.
And
these
those
are the files.
And the files are hosted on the server, the standalone.
Anywhere. These files are on the server, or it may be NFS, SAN, ASM, or it is available on the server. You can attach that storage to that server.
Okay.
All right. I'll explain it a little bit. We'll understand. We'll go here. So in simple words, a basic terminology, you have this server. That is your Linux. Right? So your Linux server is running. You want to attach 10 TB storage. How you're going to attach 10 TB storage here? You can attach this 10 TB storage here inside the server, like /Voradata. Inside that server itself, we can attach that 10 TB storage, or you can get that storage here. This is your storage, 10 TB storage. You can attach, these are like external storage. You can attach it to the server. I need a storage for my Linux server. Either it may be inside your storage, logically available, or there's the external storage I attach to that server. And that is the storage I'm going to place all my database. Database meaning your actual data files of your database. You're going to place all your database, the data files on that storage, right? It may be internal inside your storage, or it may be external. You're going to attach that storage to your server. Anything it may be. That's where your data files, actual database is going to reside. In order to access this database, you need to run your instance. Instance is nothing but service. You can just think of as of now service. And any user connect to my, or any user want to access my database or the data, they have to connect to my instance first. Without connecting instance, they cannot access the data. They all will connect to my instance, which is running on that server. This is a process. That instance will talk to my database. That is going to access my data files, and then they're going to give that result back to that end user. Right? Your instance is mandatory in order to access your data, which is inside your database. Right? Inside your server. That is your storage. Right? Two things we understood here: database and the instance. Right? Database is the actual storage. your data, whatever the database is, 10 terabyte of your database, 20 terabyte is your database, that entire data files, the files are going to reside on the storage. That is your database. Actual data is going to reside on the storage. That's your actual database, right? That's your data files. In order to access those data files, you need an instance. That is your process. All user will connect to my instance. They will read the data, and from that data file, they're going to get the result. If any users are going to insert the data, they're going to connect to instance, they will insert the data. All the records are good and fill under my data files here on the storage, right? That is how the architecture works. Instance is a process where all users will connect, right? Via that instance, they will access my data of any database, right? Any questions?
Instance is server process.
This is, I'll talk on that. What is that? It's going to process running under your server. It may be Linux, Windows, AX. The process will run on that server, right? If I can correlate with that human life, this is how it works, right? I have, this is the human, and human has a brain and hands and pair of legs. Like somebody will come to me, okay, can you note down this address? I'll say the moment somebody client one comes or one of my friend comes, will say, can you note down this address, one of my friend address? I can immediately remember in my mind, and I'll tell that my friend says, okay, I already noted down address. And other user comes, can you remember this one more friend address? And then I will be like having challenges. I already have one address remembered in my mind. If I try to remember the other address as well, I may forget it. What I'll do, with the help of hands, I'm going to start writing whatever there in my mind. I'm going to start writing into notebook. And then second user comes, okay, I'll tell him, okay, I already noted down that address. So initially I'll keep all the records in my mind. Later I can slowly start writing into notebook because I may forget over a period of time, right? And if one book is full, I'll take one more book and start writing, like whatever comes and give it me all the instruction. I'll be keep on recording in my notebook. After a month, the same client one will come, and he will say, the same user, same my friend will say, hey bro, like I given one that user address. Do you remember that? If I remember that, I can immediately give that back. Okay, I still remember that. This is the address. If I don't remember, anyway, I noted down on the book. I'll go ahead and search it on the books. I'll get that address and then bring it back to my mind. I'll then give it back to that user. That is like human life, how we can remember the things and then keep a track of all the details via books, right? I'll be keep on writing everything, all the details, whatever I read, whatever do, I'll be keep on writing it on the book so that, I'll never forget it. If I forget, I'll refer it and I'll get that details back. So same thing if you compare with database, right? This is your server, Linux. This entire thing is your Linux server. In that Linux server, you have your database. That's your actual data files. That's nothing but your books. Means actual data, you're going to keep it. It may be end user data or the business data. Those are your data files. That's your actual database or the actual storage of your database. In order to access these books, what you need? You need a hand. In order to write into that books, you need a hand to write it. And in order to read that from the book, you have to open the pages and you need that hand, right? So similarly, these are the data or the data files or the actual database. In order to read or write anything on that data, you need, how we need a pair of hands to read or write or access that books. We have something called background processes. In the Linux, we have background processes. These background processes will read the data or they will write the data, right? That is your, whatever the pair of hands are nothing but your background processes in my database. And this memory, whatever this user has the memory, similarly, we have a memory. And then combining this memory plus processes is going to be instance. This instance is nothing but human. That's a ideal, like, simple way of understanding how database works. Anybody comes, client one comes, he want to write some data. He cannot directly write data into my data files. He has to go to my instance. He will write some data. He will write data into some memory here. How this client one is tell some data, and then this user is going to remember in the mind. Similarly, the client one comes, any data he return, that will be returned to memory. The moment he return to memory, and then this instance will tell back, okay, your data is saved. And later, with the help of this background process, whatever the data is written here, it's going to write into my data files. How this user, whatever data remembered in his mind, with the help of hands, is going to start writing into book. Similarly, with the help of this background process, whatever the data is written in the memory will be start writing into my data files. And over the period of time, after a month or 2 months, again client one comes. Can you give me the same data what I given you a month back? If we ask for the instance, this instance, if that data is still available in the memory, it'll give it back to that user. If it is not available in the memory, with the help of again this background process, it will read that data files and then it will bring it back to the memory and then give it back to that user. Right? That's a simple ideology, how that human life, similar way how your database works. In simple words here, your instance is nothing but a human, and your books or data files are nothing but your actual data files which stored under your server. Right? Any questions here? Just to understanding perspective here. How, and then if somebody asked what is instance? Instance is nothing but a combination of memory plus processes in my server. And what are data files? Is your actual data of your database. And combining your instance plus database together is your database server. Right? Oracle database server. Oracle database server is nothing but your actual, your Linux server where you hosted your databases. Right? Any questions here?
Malik?
Yep.
You told if C1 is coming and asking some data, can you?
Right.
Yeah. So C1 is coming and asking some data. If it is in the memory, it will be fetching from memory and it will be reverted to the C1, right?
Right.
If it is not available in the memory, it will go to the process, and from the process only it will go to the database, that means storage area, and it will get back from the storage area through the process, and it will be reverted to the memory, and it will be reverted to the C1. Right? So if it is not in the memory, how the process will be will come to the picture here?
If it's not in the memory?
Yes.
Again, we'll talk on that. For example, there's a other, once we start the course, we'll understand, like the moment the C1 connect to my database instance, for that C1, we start something called server process. One process will get started in my server. And that process will go ahead and check in the memory. It's not available. And the same process will go to my data files and it'll fetch all the data and bring it back and store it in the memory. From that memory, it's gonna give it back to that user. So each connections, the client one connects one server process. The process is started for him. Client two connect to my database, and the process two is started for him. That is called server process. If 100 clients are connected to my database, 100 processes are started for them. That is called server process.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Now question comes.
Yeah, Malik, I want to know, like, is memory and processor, are they hardwares? Are they like physical something, like a server?
On the server, for example, this is my server here. Let's make it small.
Hello?
This is my server here. And then.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Sorry for that, guys. Okay. This is my server. And then in this server, if any process, for example, process 1, process 2, process 3, the process to run in your server, Linux server, the memory will be allocated for each process. That's where this process and memory are combined together always. Here, that's where your instance is nothing but memory plus background process. You will be allocating bunch of memory and bunch of process will get started in your server, right? That's how each and every Linux or Windows or anything, any single process you start in your Linux server or Windows server, it needs a memory. That's where the memory allocation and then the process will get started here. And the question what we need to understand, okay, my instance will get started. One of the common question in the interview, they will ask, what is instance? Instance is nothing but memory plus background process or memory plus the processes. And then memory plus background process is my instance. And I'll be having a bunch of memory component. I'll be having a bunch of processes for my instance. And then they all work together to read or write my data or the data file. And the question comes here, how many data files I can have it here? And just compare with the normal scenario, right? How many data files, how many books I can write it? There's no limit, right? The answer to that question is how many data files I can have it? There's no limit. And then is there any size for each data file? Like, I have one book. For this book, is there any, right? Is there any size? For this file, I can have 100 pages. For this book, I can have 100 pages. So is there any limit? That left to you, you can set the limit. Each book, I can set 32 GB or 64 GB. I can set the limit on each book. Okay, I can have 100 pages book every time. That is my favorite book. So similarly, for these data files, I can set 32 GB, 64 GB, 100 GB. That's a limit, you can set it out. Right? That's the one thing, like, each number of books, I can have n number of, no limit. Similarly, no limit for your number of data files. And each book size, I can always go with 100 pages book. And similarly, I can set the limit 32 GB and I can go with each book as a 32 GB. Each data file as of 32 GB. I can define that one.
Malik, is there any reason why we are setting up only 31 GB? I mean, in my client side also, we have only 31 GB and most of the cases it is 31 GB or 32 GB.
We talk on that. No, we talk on that. You can set the data file size 32 GB, 64 GB and 128 GB. So there's a different way to set that one based upon your block size. We'll talk in the actual close on what basis you're going to set this one. While creation of your database, you're going to define it. What is your data file size? So my favorite book is 100 pages. So I always use 100 pages. That's how it indicates. Okay, I always fond of 100 pages book. So I always buy that 100 pages book. Similarly, while creating your database, you're going to define, okay, 32 GB is my data file size. So always your data files are 32 GB. You're going to define it while creating the database. We'll talk on that once we start the actual course. But right now, your data file size is limited to what you define. You cannot have multiple different sizes. There's a way you can have it, but we'll talk it in regular classes. And is there any limit for my data files? Sorry, is there any limit of my number of books? Like, altogether the size of that book. I can have 100, I can have 200, I can have 1000. Altogether, it may give me any size. Similarly, I can have 10 data file, 20 data file, 1000 data files. There is no limit for my database. My database can grow as big as I can grow these books as big as I want. I can have n number of books. I can have n number of data files. I can limit it to 100 pages book. I can limit it to 32 GB file size. So these are your answers. If you can correlate or compare your database terminology with your normal life, right? I can quickly give here on my server, ps-ef grep. I created a database called devdb. And then if I grep like process, right? I said your instance is nothing but memory plus background process. If I can do devdb, and you can see these are the processes, devdb, These are the processes are started for my database. So the moment you start your instance, the moment you start your database instance here, the moment you start it on the server, it's going to allocate hundreds of processes for you, and it's going to allocate memory for you. Right? So you can see here, these are the processes are allocated. I can just DB, or else like I can quickly show that memory how we're going to allocate. The moment we start DB, sysdba, I can just do shut immediate. Okay, don't worry about these commands, what I'm typing and what I'm firing now, because once we start the course, we will get to know like each command, what is this inv, why I set to DB, and what is SQL plus, and what this shutdown will do. All will be covered once the regular class started. So right now I shut down my instance. So what I did here, like it will like this now. Like right now, I shut down this one. The moment I shut down my instance, this is my server, right? This is my server. In that server, this instance is running. I shut down my instance. The moment I shut down my instance, no end user can access to my database. Right? That's what I did. Like I did a just shutdown now here. Right? You can see instance shutdown. Your instance shutdown. Instance went down. If I run the same command here, whatever I ran, ps-ef grep devdb, nothing is running. Right? You can see nothing is running. So I have this database U01, app, Oracle, Data, devdb, and then data file. So these are your data files. If I can enter, if I do ls-enter, so these are your actual data files, actual data. So what I was talking about this one, whatever this data is our data files. Whatever we talked about here, these are your data files for the devdb. You can see I'm in this path here. U01 app, Oracle, Data, devdb is my database, and it has all the data files like temp, system, sysocs, undo. These are the actual data files which is going to hold your end user or the business data. Again, we're going to talk about what is the system, sysocs, undo, temp when we need all of them. We'll talk about when we start our regular classes. But these are your data files. In nutshell, these are your actual database. In order to access that data files, your instance has to start. Without that instance, nobody can connect to my database. Like, even though I have these data files, this user cannot connect to my database. This user cannot connect to my database directly. The instance is act as a mediator. Instance should run on your server. Without that, you cannot access it. So if I can go here, my data files are available here, but nobody can access them until my instance will start here. Right now, my instance is down here. ps-ef grep devdb, nothing is running here. So without that, your data is useless. So again, what is instance? Instance is memory plus background process. The moment I start it, you can say now I connected to my database instance. It says connected to idle instance. It means your instance is down. The moment I do startup, it means your instance, you're going to start it. The moment you start your instance, what should happen? As per this slide, the moment you start your instance, it should start your background process and it should allocate the memory. Right? The moment I startup of my instance, it will allocate the memory. And also if I run this ps-ef grep devdb, all the process will get started. So the moment I do startup here, it will allocate the memory. The various memory component will talk on that, right? See, these are the memory component, your buffer, redo buffer, variable size, fixed size, and database mounted and database opened. And then this is your memory. The moment you start your instance, it will allocate the memory. And if I run the same command, ps-ef grep devdb, lot of background process. Right now, no background process because instance is down. And if I run the same command, there are a lot of background process will get started here. You can see a lot of background processes. So that's your simple understanding. Instance is nothing but like a human, a memory plus pair of hands to read and write. Similarly, instance is nothing but memory plus background process or the process. The memory is to like to do that whatever the data, whatever the user gives, it's gonna write into memory. Whatever the user asks for the data, it's gonna read it, write it to memory, and then give it back to that user. The memory is mandatory to store the data in the memory, and the processes are mandatory to read or write the data from the data files. Right? Those are your processes. Combining together, it'll be your database server. That's your Linux server. All right. So any questions? So that's what we can stop it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We'll discuss a couple of more minutes and then we'll stop it for today. Right. And then tomorrow probably we'll talk about this is what we discussed now, database architecture. In a nutshell, it's a layman term how the database architecture works, but actual database architectures are totally different. Like this is what your actual database architecture. We'll talk about that in the instance. I talked about memory and I talked about background process. What are those memories? Shared pool, large pool, Java pool, database buffer cache, stream pool, redo log buffer. And what are that background processes? Your check pointer, smon, pmon, dbwriter, logwriter, recover, archiver. These are your background processes. And what are that database storage files, like your control file, data files, all those things. This is what your actual database architecture, you're going to explain it. But in nutshell, like in simple layman term, your database architecture is this one. Database architecture is combination of your instance plus your data files. Instance is nothing but memory plus background process. And then how that reads and writes are going to happen with the help of instance. Without instance, you cannot access your database or data files. All right. Any more questions, guys, before we wind up? Right. So tomorrow we can talk about networking and physical and logical structure.
Malik, one doubt I'm having, like it's not a doubt. Can you you are not going to cover RAC over this
RAC will
session?
not be covered. RAC will not be covered. RAC is a
So
separate.
can you suggest us from where we can learn if we want to learn?
RAC will be like there's an ongoing RAC batch. If you already know the database, you can join the RAC. But the new RAC batch is going to start it on probably Jan 2023. Like if I can go here, the new RAC batch is going to start on Jan 2023. So that's what I can say. Or else you can enroll for ongoing RAC batch, which is started on 22nd October. All right.
Okay.
Right. Any more questions, guys?
If we join RAC batch currently now, we miss some other classes. We can cover it from next batch also.
Yeah,
Can
you
you
can
give
do that.
permission for?
Right. Yeah, that you can do it. You can attend that new batch as well.
Malik?
Yep.
Yeah, you told that we can join this RAC. Already 2 days has been completed. What is the timing for that one?
Not 2 days, it's 2 weeks. RAC is started on 22nd October.
Sorry. I thought it's November. Right. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So we
It's a
can't able
weekend
to...
batch. It's a Saturday, Sunday only. This batch is Saturday, Sunday only. 8 AM to 12 AM. 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday. It's going like 6 to 7 weekends. It's only weekend batch.
So already almost it's half the way, right?
Right. Again, as I said, you can watch those recordings and you can re-enroll it on Jan 2nd if you don't want to wait, right? That's how it works. But you don't need to pay on that one. That's a flexibility I can provide it to anyone.
Okay. Thanks for that.
All right. So anyone has any questions so far on this course? Or else we can stop it for today. Already we...
Malik, the only question I do have is concerning about like the same, the previous question I asked about the gigabyte. So if you have like, since you said 8 gigabyte is the minimum.
Right.
If you use maybe like, okay, that 8 gigabyte, is it like on use or like if you already use like 3 gigabyte out of it, does it work? Can you able to download the
8 GB RAM for your laptop, and out of 8 GB you're going to assign 6 GB for your VM and then 2 GB for your laptop.
Okay. So if you already used like on other stuff like 3 gigabytes,
Then it will not work.
Clean up? Okay.
That will not work. You have to close all your applications when you're working. You should not use anything. Like 8 GB is the minimum needed for this course.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, Malik. Are you provide daily question and answer PDF?
All right. See, you might have observed I'll be announcing a lot of questions and answers on my YouTube and on my WhatsApp status and all those things, right? If you can go here, interview questions and answers, it has everything, whatever needed for your DBA, like, what are the responsibilities, like, all the questions and answers. For example, what is roles and what is your database objects? What are database startup modes? And what is P file and SP file? The questions and answers will be all available inside this Google Drive. You will get access on everything. You just need to start preparing all of them. If you start all of these questions, you no need to worry. You can easily crack your interview. These are like, interesting questions I used to ask in my blog and everywhere, right? You can just go through all these questions and all the answers are I'll be keep on updating on this single document. It is more than enough for you to, prepare for the interview, and then comfortably you can, crack any interview after going through all this, interview questions and answer. Right. So you can get it in nutshell, you can get everything on the Google Drive.
Okay, Malik. Thank you.
All right. So any more questions, guys?
No, I don't have any question. My only concern is since I already pay, I want to make sure that you grant me access to Google Drive.
I will ping in the group. You're already part of the group, right? I can ping you. I can verify all the students who are registered. I'll make sure that I'll get access by today or tomorrow max.
Okay, I already ping you on your personal WhatsApp.
We'll see that after this session. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anyone has any questions?
Hello, Malik. Good morning. I'm sorry, I just joined. Where can I mean, do we have any facility to see these videos which you have
I
taken?
can provide you. Yeah. After this session, I'll provide you.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, man.
Ping me on my WhatsApp number. I can share that.
Hello, Malik.
Hi, Malik.
Good morning. So how to get this interview question? This is only for who attend the paid
Yeah, it's
course.
only for the students, registered student.
Okay, fine.
Hi, Malik. One question here.
Yep.
So currently, like if you see the market, like most of the companies are moving from Oracle to Postgres and MongoDB, right? Or Elasticsearch. So do you still recommend like Oracle DB? Like the
Oracle is evergreen. Customer will go Postgres, MySQL and all only for the startup small scale industries. If you go to the enterprise companies, big companies, they rely on Oracle, because when your company is become public, when your company become enterprise, data security, data management is going to be key skills and going to be one of the risk factor. And Oracle is the one who's going to give all this data, security and the confident in your database storage. Only that security level confident will get the customer in Oracle. They will never get it from the Postgres or Cassandra or MongoDB, or these are like no open sources. They will not rely, they will not support your enterprise data, right? So nobody can beat Oracle when it comes to data security or huge data processing.
Okay.
Hi, Malik.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, one simple question on the data files. You said that the data will be stored in different storage location, and we can contact that storage device with the instance, right? Can we have the data files inside the database server itself?
Yeah, you can have it. You can have it inside. You can have NFS, SAN, NAS, wherever you can have it.
Okay, Malik. Thanks. That's my doubt.
All right. Any more last questions before we wind up for today? And we'll connect tomorrow with the networking and some more other concept of database. And then at last, if you have any further questions, queries about the course or course curriculum duration or fee structure and all, feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number, guys.
For the actual starting date, we're going to start from the posted, from the posted database courses, right?
Yeah, 28 onwards, we're going to start it. We might share more details in our group for all the registered students.
Oh, okay.
All right, we'll take it as a no now. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Malik.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.